Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Andropa 101, where we talk about tech without a biased view, and we make sure we tackle those subjects with a concentration on understanding that technology rather than dismissing it because of a prejudice. I wanted to say, first of all, Happy New Year to 2017. This is the first video out for the channel for 2017, and I wanted to wish everybody a Happy New Year. So I know this year is going to be an amazing year for phone devices as well as for all technology on the field. That's going to be tablets, computers, phone devices, just a plethora of things that are going through the technology field. I say that because in 2016 there's been several articles that have been released that talked about the advents of memory, where Samsung is starting to be able to produce their memory for a lot cheaper and also a lot more efficiently. It's very cost effective for them. They're one of the top producers for memory chips in the world. So a lot of producers, whether that be LG, HTC, a lot of Android devices, could be Huawei, could be LG, whomever it may be, even Apple would very possibly buy those memory chips from Samsung because Samsung does have a very good production facility for those chips. Also, the processing chips are mostly coming from Qualcomm, from what I understand. So Qualcomm is doing an amazing job with keeping in the technology front. I know there was a while where the Exynos processor was going to overtake the Qualcomm chips, but due to cost reasons, Samsung is sticking with the Qualcomm chipset, and I would say the numbers are probably better for the Exynos, but it's kind of it's either you take it or you leave it kind of thing. It's not like it's bad if we go Qualcomm and we don't go Exynos, but it's more cost effective for Samsung, so most Americans are probably going to get the non-Exynos version, whereas most out those that are in other countries like the UK or in India or China or South Korea, wherever they may be outside of the United States, more than likely they're probably going to have a better chance of getting the Exynos version of the device. Now, you can buy it, of course, you can buy it overseas and get that device, but you have to pay it up front. Whereas most people are getting their devices on a plan like AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, so they can't get those same benefits. They can't get those payment plan devices. So let's talk about this year and what we are looking at and the advances in technology that we're looking at. We're looking at HTC coming out in the first quarter. Them and LG, they're going to be combating like crazy. As I reported earlier in a video, I think it was my last one, that it was there's 3 HTC devices that are looking to be able to be presented in the very early portion of the year. Now, not all 3 are going to be produced in or released in January, but from the article that I was reading, it looks like HTC is going to be releasing at least 1, possibly 2 devices that could be their HTC 11, or it could be the HTC mid-range. There's 3 devices, the HTC mid-range, which is not going to have as high as specs, but it will have decent specs, but it will be cheaper. Then you'll have the HTC 11, which will more than likely be around a $700 range, kind of what they did with the HTC 10. And that will have an amazing camera. That's one of the things that HTC has done really well. Also, their sound is really unparalleled, besides LG, who did a fantastic job this year. So thumbs up, LG. You guys did a great job with your sound quality on the LG V20. It's a great job there. And then they're going to release after that, it's going to be, and this is all rumor, mind you, but there is currently a one of their, it's called the Ocean Note. So, well, they're calling the HTC 11, they have these really funny names, but they're calling the HTC 11, they're calling it as their, everyone has these names like the iPhone's calling the Ferrari or Porsche or whatever when they're calling it. HTC's, they're calling their HTC 11 the Ocean. And then there's another one that's being called the Ocean Note. That is the one I'm looking for. The Ocean Note, because this is another phablet in the phablet battle that we've been having. And there's really three players in this. That's going to be now HTC. Then, of course, there's Samsung, who's still the top dog in my opinion. And usually I don't throw my opinion in there, but the opinion is that they probably sell more phablet devices because they're well known for their notes. Their notes are great, great phones. And then, of course, you got the iPhone 6 or the iPhone Plus devices, that being the iPhone 8 Plus or the 7 Plus, whatever it's going to be. I'm not really sure if they're going to release a 7S. Again, that's just, we don't know. There's a lot of reports coming out that are saying that they're going to produce both. That we're going to get a iPhone 7 Plus S or 7S Plus, and then we are also going to get an iPhone 8 Plus. And the reason for that is, one, of course, will be much more expensive than the other. I would think probably in maybe $100 more. Again, I don't know about that. We'll just have to wait as time goes on so we can see what the combat is going to be on that. So the HTC is going to be delivering 3 devices, and more than likely they'll probably release one in the early quarter. Then in February, LG is going to be releasing the info there in the beginning portion of February, and then probably release device later of the LG G6. And that's going to be an amazing phone too, because it's going to have water resistance, it's going to have an iris scanner. These are, of course, rumors as well, but I think LG is really trying to step up their game in combating with Samsung and combating with Apple. Those are their two major competitors. And sadly, LG never seems to be able to overtake them. I don't know, again, if that's going to continue to be the same rut that they're in. I think for LG and what they do, that I think their biggest problem, number one, is marketing. Same with HTC. They don't market their devices very well. Even though they have a great, their phones are really functional, and they're great physical devices. Jaime Rivera does a great review on those, so hop over to Pocket Now, watch his reviews on the HTC 10. Does a great job of that. Also, the LG V20 was a great device, but the LG G5 kind of stunk. And the reason was because it became a transformer phone. Nobody wants a transformer in their hands. I mean, you had to pull this off and slide that in, and it was a nightmare. And not to mention, you had to buy all these other pieces of technology just to get that phone to work. Now, if you did, and if you have an LG G5, I do have a friend that has one. He's an AT&T rep. And if you do have one of those modular devices, you can still buy that technology. It's not going to be cheap, but you do have that capability. I know there's a Moto device that does the same thing. You can slide something in or do something. I'm not too sure on that one. I heard some articles about it, but I didn't really look too far into it because I don't think people are really interested in getting too much into modular devices right now. Okay, so once the LG G6 releases, and the device is going to be a great one. However, I think the display again is going to be an IPS display. IPS is out the window, guys. I don't know about any of you guys, but I've been watching devices progressively, and everybody seems to be going towards OLED. Okay, whether that be Super AMOLED or you got just regular OLED screens for Apple. Now, don't just take OLED as, oh my goodness, it's not Super AMOLED, so it won't be a great device with a great screen. Remember, OLED just means it's organically lit, whereas with AMOLED, that's artificial. Okay? So it's not, they're just two different sets of technology, even though Samsung makes both. What's better? They feel like, Samsung feels like it's better to use Super AMOLED because that's what they've found a really high calling from their market of Android users. People seem to like that screen, and I have a Note 5. Hey, it's got a great screen, and I'm not going to disagree that it's looks great. As a matter of fact, I do all my videos directly from my Note 5, and there's a reason for that. Let me just go ahead and put that in. And the reason for the Note 5 videos is because my videos are directed straight at the technology front. Okay, could I get a DSLR camera or a video and post it up with a video? Sure, I could. But that's not what I feel like we should be doing. My goal for the technology front is to utilize that technology to see what it can do, what it can produce. Okay? And as you've seen, the videos come out in very high definition. So a great job, thumbs up to Samsung, great job there. So Samsung is going to be releasing in the, looks like probably second quarter, which I don't think there are going to be problems with sales. I'm sorry, Apple, if you guys were hoping to steal Samsung away, Samsung users away, but as everyone seems to be finding out due to the Wall Street Journal report, that ain't happening, folks. Apple did not steal the Samsung users. The Samsung users are going to stick with Samsung, and there's a reason for that. Everyone's been talking about, oh, well, the iPhone is a bad device, or it's just cheap or gimmicky. No, that's not it. Think about it, okay? Why would an Android user go to the iOS market? Why? It is a totally foreign world, okay? You know the one thing that everyone talks about when they have an iOS or an Android device? Customization. You can't really do that with an iPhone unless you jailbreak it. Well, then you got to go through the jailbreak process, and again, not many people are jailbreaking their devices, folks. I've already done the studies. Ain't happening. Yeah, there's some, and you'll find a small percentage, less than 10%, probably less than 5% from what I've seen. Less than 5%. And these people don't really want to root their phones, jailbreak them. They don't want to. Same thing with an Android. I mean, you don't want to go in and flash ROMs. I mean, some people do. I mean, that's just what they like to do. But it's not common. Okay? It's just not the way people want to do. They don't want to fiddle with the interior of their phone. They don't want to have to possibly brick it. And that is possible. If you start messing with your ROM, you start messing with your firmware, you could brick your phone. Just warning you. Okay? Now, you can do whatever you want. There's lots of videos out there that will show you how to do it, and you're probably not going to screw it up. I'm just saying you can. Okay? But, again, not many Android users go over to the iOS market. Same thing with iOS. They don't generally leave the iOS market to go over the Android market. It's just how it works, people. Look, if you have money invested in Google Play, why would you go over to the iOS store and have to pay the same stinking money to get the same apps? Yeah, don't make much sense. But, again, that's out there. So that's what I feel like is the reason, okay? And everything I can see is there's no evidence to support a fact to state, oh, well, Apple can bring these people over because Samsung had a bad year on one device. One. The Note 7. Great device. However, it had the propensity of having a problem. It could explode or ignite, and I know other people are talking about exploder devices, and it's not an exploder device. All it did was ignite. Okay, the phone would typically melt down or have a fire on it, and I don't really even think there was a fire. I think it was just the fact that because there really was no evidence to support the fact that there was fires coming from the device, but the battery would get so hot that it would literally melt the interior. Okay, as you can see from all the pictures that they have on the web, that there's just burn marks on it. Not that the whole entire device was ignited up in flames. That doesn't happen. So people are not moving from Samsung over to Apple, and the same thing is true not from Apple over to Samsung. So we got Samsung releasing in second quarter, and it looks like Samsung is probably going to release, if they release, a Note 8. And I say if, because there's already discussion about the S Pen coming out for the S8. I don't understand that, but hey, maybe there's a market for it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And Samsung's S8 is going to be a beast of a phone, folks. There's going to be two variants. There's going to be, now from what I'm hearing is there's probably going to be a 5.1 display or a 5-inch display. More than likely, it's probably going to be around 5.3. And the reason I say this is because the bezels are going to be completely removed, except for maybe a bottom portion on the screen. I was reading from Riddick that he was saying that at the bottom there's going to be just a thin strip of bezel. Again, I don't know what that's for. Maybe it's the brand name. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, the fingerprint scanner on the rear. It's possibly going to be with iris scanner. Just so many things that the phone's going to have. And the two variants, as I said, one is going to be around a 5.1, 5.3. And then the other one, now there's a lot of speculation here, but Samsung has remained pretty true to form. Okay, look at over the last couple device changes and look at the size variance. Okay, now when you do remove the bezel, and I've already measured on my Note 5, if you remove the top portion bezel, you increase it from a 5.7-inch display to a 6-inch display. That's right, folks, 6 inches. So I think that if we go with the GS8E, which is what it will be called, then, because it'll be an edge variant, there will be no flat screen variants, people. I'm sorry. I know that there are people out there that want the flat screen, but for Samsung, the way they stated it in the articles that I read was that it was more cost effective for them to produce one type of device or their two variants with that curved screen, because there's a lot more people that want that curved device feel. My worry over all of this is those people that are talking about flat screens, they have a point. The screens, when you curve them, and I've seen this happen because I have a lot of friends that have the GS7E, the problem is that you can grab your device, and you just grab the sides of it. As I said, I'm using a Note 5 here. So you could grab the device, and literally it's so sensitive that what action you're trying doesn't really work. I had a friend that also had I think it was an OtterBox that was, around the edging and stuff, and it just all the time having problems. It was the edges of the OtterBox were even causing a problem with the device. So he just took it off and just started putting it in his pocket, and it's just a nightmare. So I'm kind of worried about that. That's the only thing I really worry about with these edging screens. Maybe they can make it better. There's a better feel. I don't know. Again, we'll have to wait till the Galaxy S8 comes out, see how it feels, what kind of what they're doing to make it so that it fits better in your hands. Okay, and also then we have in the, probably after the second quarter, again, if the Note 8 does get released, okay, that'll be in the third quarter, more than likely, and then also you will also get the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus. Again, this may be, those may not even come out. We may only get the 7S Plus. And again, I think that would be a real bad move on Apple's part. But again, they sell more overall devices for their iOS brand than Samsung does for Samsung's devices, or even LG or HTC. They just sell more. Now, if you were to say to me, well, Andropal, there's more Samsung, or there's more Android devices out on the market because they hold 88% than iOS. How can that be? Surely Samsung's got more. The numbers don't say that. The numbers say Android devices. Remember, that can be Moto, that can be Huawei, that could be who knows. And there's a lot of brands out there. So again, let's just see what comes out. Let's keep an open mind. And again, we are not trying to form a biased opinion because of a preference, but rather we want to look at these devices and be excited about what technology they're going to bring to the forefront. The same thing with computers and the same thing with tablets. It's going to be amazing, guys. This 2017 is going to be the game changer. This is going to be where everything changes, and in the next 3 years, I think we are going to go so far with these devices. It's going to just blow your mind. I mean, my mind as well. I mean, it's just amazing what we are doing now with technology. It's just incredible. So, I just want to say Happy New Year. I wanted to say looking forward to be able to talking with you guys this next year about devices and computer technology and different things like that. So stay safe, keep well, and Happy New Year. And until then, guys, I'll see you on the flip side.